I'd like to welcome you back here for another interview in our Digital Work Disruption interview series. This time I'm honored to have with me the Alexander Kluge. Hello, Alexander.
Hi, Björn. Thank you for inviting me.
This is the strange situation for us two Germans doing an interview not in our mother tongue but in English, but actually as this whole initiative is in English, we're doing it in English.
Okay.
So, can you please introduce yourself first?
Yeah, my name is Alexander Kluge. I'm working in that collaboration space since, let's say, 25 years. I'm strongly interested in the intersection of the IT-based collaboration area and that was and the other part that is more organizational development. What's about people, what's about mindsets. So this is what I basically did the last years. I founded several companies, sold a company, refounded a company, and now the last 10 years I'm with Kluge and Consorten on the market, and we do consulting business for organizations in transforming to the new way of work.
This whole initiative is really founded by people who came from our Enterprise 2.0 Summit a little bit in Paris. You have also been part of several shows in Paris. So
Yeah.
If you think about the Enterprise 2.0 discussions, the digital workplace discussion, and the future of the digital work, where would you position yourself in this field?
Yeah, I remember very well the meetings we had in Paris. I hope we will be there tomorrow in this year. I don't know if you plan it, but anyway, we are part, and I was part of the E2O movement, E2O in the E2O space since years because it was logical for us to invest in that space. We tried to find new ways of work with customers, and then we looked for solutions to that. And a long time before we started with what we call now Enterprise 2.0, we started with collaboration software. We cared about knowledge management. So our history is really back to Lotus Notes that many of you might know, where we invested lots of time in finding out how people collaborate digitally and make them more powerful in the digital space, to share their knowledge, to connect to people. Long before Enterprise 2.0 came up. And when Enterprise 2.0 came up, and then Andrew McAfee wrote his book, it was really enlightening for us, and we said, okay, this is the next space we want to invest in, and we since then we introduced several E2.0 platforms into companies and helped them using them, because what we realized is many companies introduced the software, just tool set, but nobody used it. And our challenge, and this is my main business, is to get people working with it, to really use these platforms to share their knowledge. And this is, of course, the hardest part. Implementing the software is much more easier than getting the people to work with it.
So now we have the Corona crisis. It's here, and it is disrupting the world of working, and certainly not only the world of working, but also everything else. But especially here, we talk about the world of working, and well, now everybody needs to, has to, not needs
they
to, but
have
has
to work digitally. Yeah, right.
Everybody has to work digitally. So what are your recommendations on in individual level? So what should each of us as digital remote worker focus on at this moment to advance in this way, in this new way of working?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good time for us who learned a lot about digital work, and for me, especially for me, it's not new, because I'm used to work like that. Where my laptop is, there is my workplace. But what comes out now in the crisis is that we still live in a filter bubble. So when we met in Paris or in Cologne, and we have our Enterprise 2.0 community, and we talk about digital workplaces, it's really a small subset of people who get used to work with these technologies. And when we see now people going to the home office never have worked with Microsoft Teams or Slack or did video conferencing with Zoom, and they now have to work digitally, we see that the people were not ready for it. The organizations were not ready for it because they didn't deploy the technology. Many of our customers really struggle with the technology. They have not enough VPN accesses. They don't have enough laptops for their employees. So when you ask me for recommendations on the individual space, I would say, hey, people, please be curious, look at technology, test the technology, don't fear it, because what we see is a lot of fear. I cannot handle this. How do I do the video conferencing stuff? Is this right how I behave? What are the rules? And the fear stops people exploring the technology. So my advice would be try to be as fearless as possible. Try the new technologies. Go to your kids. Show have a look at how they communicate digitally, because many of us haven't seen that or haven't experienced that. This is basically one of the things I learned in the last 2 weeks, that we are still not alone, but a few people that get used to work like we preach for years.
And on the Teams level, so now teams have to come along and do their projects digital. How should they organize? So, or what are your recommendations on how to effectively organize your within the team for achieving the goal?
Yeah, I think it's very important. It's like when we were in the first days of digitalization, when everybody said, "Oh, let's build an app for our process," and then they just implemented an app or build a software that was exactly the analog process. So in the physical world, now it's in the digital world. So it's really not making things better. So my recommendation would be to rethink how you work, because in the digital space, it doesn't make sense to digitalize all your meetings in the physical world. So you have the same structure. It's much harder to attend all that meetings during the day. It costs you a lot of concentration. You are not able to do 8 hours of video conferencing. Even it is like this. Yeah? That's what I experience now, that many organizations who are now building their digital infrastructure, and they have to build new digital infrastructure and find new ways to work, they find themselves in a digitalized world that is not really compatible with the new media. And so my recommendation would be try to find new ways, reduce the necessity to meet for all the time, find a new schedule, like do a digital stand-up every morning at 8:30. Do it only for 15 minutes, then go back to work. Have your deep work times where you don't have any meetings, except that there are deep work times where you can do your work. And I think the most important thing is to rethink now work. It will cost you some time, but it costs you anyway. We are now in a crisis situation, and we will not be as productive as we would be if we had continued like working like we did till 2 weeks ago.
And in regards to the organization or as well the organizational principles, are there any advices that you would say that organizations should follow up on and or foster to help those teams and individuals to better get their stuff done?
Yeah, there are several points which are hurting right now. The one thing is infrastructure. So we see now that many, especially small, medium companies and many companies in Germany that are in the financial services space, they refused for years to build on a cloud infrastructure because it's dangerous and data security and all that stuff. And now they suddenly realize when they send everybody home, they cannot work together. So it's missing infrastructure. You cannot build infrastructure now in 2 weeks and not in the next month. So that's not possible to solve right now, but it should be one of the high prioritized to rethink the infrastructure thing, to have the tool set to manage everything. And the second thing is the skill set. I already mentioned that many people are not used to use the new technologies. I know many companies who rolled out Office 365 and they just have now an Office 365 infrastructure where everybody thought, okay, it's new Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and I can start it in my browser, but that's it. But that there are new technologies that helps you work together to share knowledge, like Teams or like Yammer. This is something organizations miss to train people. So on the second pillar, the skill set, I would recommend to really now start enabling your employees to use these technologies with small learning nuggets, with small webcasts. You can do this right now, and you can do it right from the scratch. It's not really a mystery to do this. Yeah, and the really big thing, of course, the really big thing is pillar number 3 is the mindset, of course. Yeah, so to develop a mindset of working together, that means on eye level, doing really digital leadership, because you cannot control your employees anymore. That's a question of leadership, and we address that to the leaders and to the management. Because many of them still think if they go to the office and they count their employees in the office and say, okay, everybody's there, 12 people in the office, so they work. This is an illusion. This is an illusion in the physical world, and it's much more illusion in the digital world. So you have to build trust, and trust is something that's so much worth. And in the new digital world, you have to trust that people work at home, and you have to trust that they do the best what they can do, even if you don't see them. So on the mindset thing, it's about leadership. It's about, of course, about the way you work and with the new technology and your knowledge. I always recommend to think about implementing working out loud, because working out loud is one of the learning methods for the digital age, where everybody can learn how to behave in a digital virtual environment, to connect to people in the digital environment, to learn from each other. And this is something what I really would recommend to implement a digital mindset for the organization and to help them to get productive in times like we have now.
If we think about issues, I mean, issues that are really standing in the way at the moment, what is the key issue that you would say that you have to work on first and to get it out of the way?
Yeah, when we start now, and we do since 2 weeks different business, like everybody does it in a different way. We do it in a different way too. We don't travel to customers. We do everything virtually. So how do we start? It's always a discussion about how can we motivate people, or no, the other way around. Let them not demotivate. They are motivated. I believe in people, yeah? but they are demotivated by technology not working, by maybe strange reactions by their boss and some other things. And we do a lot of sessions right now, online sessions for digital remote work, to how to survive in the digital space. We do a lot of working all out implementations right now with customers, big webcasts, and try to explain what's behind the technology and how lets you survive in the digital space, and that's what I already mentioned, and deliver small learning nuggets. Go to the teams, ask if they need help, give them a short Microsoft Teams enablement or Zoom enablement. And this is something that only needs 10 minutes or 15 minutes for the team to show them how they work together, how to work together on documents, and how to share the stuff they're working on.
So you said you're focusing on the key aspect to support is the enablement. Is there any daily routine that you would suggest also to the individual to help and enhance their skills at that point?
To enhance their skills, I think there is a very good tool that is named YouTube. So if you want to learn about the tools, and if you are not supported by your corporate IT or your learning and development department, it's all out there. It's all out there, and you find the stuff to learn. So that's easy. What's not so easy is maybe to find your rhythm at home. So what we see now is it's really a challenge to have your family at home, to have the kids at home. That homeschooling is now an additional challenge, and there are still lots of managers who think, oh, okay, it's now they are alone at home, so this is a perfect combination of work-life balance. But of course, it isn't. It's really a challenge to get this under one umbrella and to work in that situation. So you have to find a specific rhythm to go out, to have your interruptions where you don't have any calls. So you need to find it with your team. So what I recommend is meet with your team in the morning, do it for 15-20 minutes just to stand up what we're working on, then create a space where you can meet, and where you can meet in a way like in the coffee kitchen. Do a virtual coffee corner. You can implement it as an MS Teams channel or in any other technology where you can go, where you can meet, where you can talk about the things, about the challenges you have every day that are not directly related to any task in your daily work routine. So this is what you need to construct to survive in this virtual in the virtual space we're living now in. And some of us, like the Bavarians, have really stronger governments, so they're even not allowed to go out. So you need to find routines where you can survive. And this is get space for yourself, find space for your team where you don't talk about work. And in every meeting, do a check-in, and ask, how do you really feel? How do you really feel? Talk about the feelings, about the things that are going on in your private life. That must have space now. It has space in the office. The office is lost now. So you need to create that space in the digital world.
Great. Thank you for these answers, for your advices, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for the invitation. Have a good time too, and stay safe.